So the thing about Catherine being handed sole guardianship of the crown jewels is that it apparently happened at midnight, while Charles was basically collapsing, and the two people you'd expect to be in the room, his wife and his actual heir, were explicitly told not to come. That's not a family decision.
116 years. That is how long it had been since any Princess of Wales held this particular power. And then King Charles made a single decision, and in one stroke, Catherine, Princess of Wales, wrote herself into the history books in a way nobody had done in over a century. But this is not just about an honorary title. This is a signal, a message written for the entire world to read, and especially for anyone paying attention to what the next chapter of the British monarchy actually looks like. Today we are talking about the decision Charles made in 2026, why he made it, what it actually means, and why Catherine's return to the spotlight is not simply a comeback story. It is the story of a woman being handed the future of an institution, where Catherine has been. To understand why this moment matters so much, you first need to understand what Catherine has already been through to get here. In early 2024, the world learned that the Princess of Wales was fighting cancer. She shared the news herself in a video message, in her own words, speaking directly to the public with no spokesperson, no carefully managed press release, just a woman telling her truth. For months, she stepped back from public life entirely. The speculation was relentless. The media pressure was enormous. But Catherine did not rush. She completed her treatment. She recovered quietly and on her own terms. And then, step by careful step, she came back. By 2025, her cancer was in remission. She carried out 68 public engagements that year, selective, purposeful, every single one chosen with intention. She prioritized her children, she prioritized her health, and she began rebuilding her public presence with the same quiet discipline that has defined her entire royal career. By 2026, she was ready to do more, and King Charles was ready to make it official. The decision that changed everything. In spring 2026, King Charles formally appointed William and Catherine as grantors of royal warrants. Now, if that phrase means nothing to you yet, let me explain why it matters enormously. A royal warrant is one of the most commercially significant endorsements in Britain. It signals that a brand, a business, or an individual supplier has been personally used and trusted by the royal household. Companies that receive a royal warrant can display the royal coat of arms on their products and packaging, and the commercial advantage that comes with that recognition is enormous. It signals trust, quality, and royal approval to consumers across the entire world. As grantors, William and Catherine now have the authority to personally award those warrants. They decide which brands reflect their values, which businesses align with their causes, environmental sustainability, children's welfare, mental health, British craftsmanship, which companies deserve the royal stamp of approval. Since King Charles took the throne in 2022, he and Queen Camilla have used this power to award warrants to nearly 600 brands, including names like Cartier, Schweppes, and Waitrose. Now that same authority passes to the next generation. But here is the detail that makes Catherine's appointment genuinely historic. She is the first Princess of Wales to hold the power to grant royal warrants in 116 years. The last woman to hold this role as Princess of Wales was Queen Mary, before 1910. Even Princess Diana, the most beloved Princess of Wales in living memory, never held this authority during her lifetime. Catherine is now the first in over a century. Why Charles chose this moment? Charles is 76 years old. He has been managing a cancer diagnosis since early 2024, receiving treatment, maintaining his schedule, showing up at engagements with remarkable determination while carrying a weight most people will never fully understand. In 2025, he was the hardest working royal by number of public appearances, 535 engagements in a single year. The dedication is genuine, but so is the reality of his health situation. And a king who understands that reality begins thinking about what he leaves behind. Not just the throne itself, but the structure, the authority, the institutional machinery that will carry the monarchy forward when the transition eventually comes. Every significant move Charles has made in recent years points in the same direction, increasing William's visibility at major international events, expanding the responsibilities of the Prince and Princess of Wales, ensuring that when the time comes, the handover feels less like a sudden change and more like a natural continuation. This royal warrant appointment is part of that same deliberate pattern. Charles is not simply honoring Catherine, he is equipping her, he is placing real institutional power in her hands while he is still here to ensure the transition happens smoothly. And the timing, with Catherine now in remission, visibly stronger and ready to increase her public schedule, could not have been more deliberate. The Kate effect, and why it matters institutionally. There is something specific about Catherine that Charles clearly understands and is betting on. Royal watchers have spent years tracking what they simply call the Kate effect. Whatever Catherine wears sells out within hours. Whatever cause she champions gains immediate public attention. Whatever event she attends draws large larger crowds and longer camera coverage. But beyond the fashion and the headlines, there is something more structurally significant happening. Catherine has a rare instinct for making ancient royal traditions feel alive and relevant to people who have grown up in a completely different world. Old pieces of royal jewelry that sat in storage for decades suddenly appear on her wrist or around her neck at exactly the right moment. And suddenly, an entire new generation is paying attention to the history behind them. Author Elizabeth Holmes, speaking about the new royal warrant roll, put it directly. Catherine will introduce this tradition to a new generation of royal watchers in a way that makes it feel fresh and relevant again. That is not a small thing. That is the central challenge facing any institution that wants to survive long enough to matter to people who were not born yet when its traditions were established. Charles knows this. He is placing real authority in the hands of the one person he believes can carry it forward without letting it fade. What Catherine's 2026 looks like. The royal warrant appointment is the headline, but Catherine's broader return to the spotlight in 2026 goes well beyond a single title. In January, she hosted the England women's rugby team at Windsor Castle, celebrating their World Cup victory, talking enthusiastically about how her own children play rugby at home, and showing exactly the kind of warm, unscripted connection with people that makes her such an effective public figure. In March, she appeared at the Commonwealth Day service at Westminster Abbey alongside the full royal family, wearing a Catherine Walker dress and earrings that once belonged to Queen Elizabeth II, drawing the kind of attention that makes clear she has lost none of her presence during her time away. She has been selective, she has been careful, but she has been consistent, and each appearance builds on the last, restoring a public profile that was paused, not ended, by her illness. Her schedule is expected to grow gradually through 2026, with Catherine herself setting the pace. The priority remains her children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, and her own health, but within those boundaries, she is stepping forward with clear purpose. The bigger picture. Step back for a moment and look at what is actually happening here. A king managing. A serious illness is methodically and deliberately transferring power, visibility, and institutional authority to his heir and his heir's wife. He is doing it carefully, piece by piece, in a way designed to feel like evolution rather than emergency, but the direction is unmistakable. William and Catherine are no longer simply waiting for the throne. They are already operating with expanding royal authority. They are representing the king at state occasions. They are now grantors of royal warrants. They are, in every practical sense, preparing to lead. And Catherine, the woman who spent months fighting cancer, who stepped back from public life with grace and returned to it with the same grace, is at the center of that preparation. She did not ask for any of this to happen the way it did. The illness was not something she chose. The months of speculation and pressure were not something she invited. But the way she handled all of it, the dignity, the patience, the quiet refusal to be rushed or defined by circumstances outside her control, is precisely why Charles trusted her with what he has now placed in her hands. A year since any Princess of Wales held this power, and the woman holding it now got here by surviving something that would have broken most people, and coming out the other side steadier than when she went in. If this video gave you something to think about, drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you make of Charles's decision? Do you think Catherine is ready to lead the monarchy into its next era? Subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss our next deep dive into the real dynamics shaping the British royal family right now. Thank you for watching.